The best strategy is the grassroots strategy, and that's touching the people and being amongst the people and really building a rapport with your community, like hand-to-hand combat, dropping off boxes to randoms. That led to something bigger because everybody would see it, people were posting me, pull up on them, and people were like, where can I get that hoodie? Where can I get that hat? And, that's when we launched the online store.
Hey, I'm your host, Kosh, and this is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. The mission of this podcast is to eliminate the starving artist and give creatives the codes to build audiences, cash flow, and make a living doing what they love. Today, I have the magnificent magician, Faye.
Whoa.
On the podcast. Faye, thank you for being here. If you had to describe yourself in one word for people who are unfamiliar with you, what would you say?
I'm an enigma.
Okay. All right, cool. Got you. And then tell everybody, who isn't familiar with you, what you do.
So my name is Faye. I'm an artist from Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Chicago. I'm the son of Palestinian refugees, and I make music. And I make clothing.
I thought you were going to say you make bops, but...
I make bops.
Because that's really what you make is bops.
I appreciate that, bro.
Okay, so as you make these bops, when do you think you had your first creative breakthrough as an artist?
The first creative breakthrough, I feel like, was whenever I created Peace with Eric Young. I remember that song being like, yo, this is a song that I could actually, hear on the radio or something, Before, I was just making music to kind of, I was just rapping, the Lyrical Miracle type. But Peace was actually, a vibe that you could, people were liking, you feel me? And they were hitting me up, yo, that shit was crazy and this, and that. And I was like, yo, I think I found my sound. As soon as I made Peace, I think that was 2015.
Yeah, around that time. I remember hearing that for the first time, and I was like, yeah, this shit is crazy. That whole album, though, that's one of my favorites from you, that whole album. So when you made it, did you know?
That's the thing about art. It's just, when you create something, your favorite shit that you've ever made probably isn't the fan favorite, right?
Yeah.
You think you're yo, I put in all this time and effort into this record or into this video, and I know people gonna fuck with it. And then they usually end up fucking with the video or song that took 30 minutes to make.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why it happens like that, but we don't get to choose what people like now.
Yeah, I think maybe it's because it's like that Kanye quote where he's like, if you try hard, you die hard. It's just like...
Absolutely.
I'm focusing all my energy on this and I need not to. And then the thing that you're just like, fuck it, just put it out is the thing that goes to. I mean, I've seen that a million times. Okay, so as you were, because I want to get into the business of being an artist. As you progressed as an artist, where do you think you failed? What were your first failures when doing this?
When I first started?
Yeah.
Man, I failed so many times, bro. I don't know where to start. I think I failed the first time I ever picked up a microphone, clearly. It was terrible. I was rapping about, killing folks and drugs. I just wanted to be, a member of Dipset, and I was only 16. So, it was terrible. That was a fail completely. And then, from 16 to 25 years old, it was just 9 years of necessary failures, if that makes sense. Making songs, seeing what people gravitate towards, and not having real fans, just people knowing, people, all they know is that you make music and stuff like that. It's not something that they would listen to in the car or anything. This was before streaming services. So it was that situation. And it took about 10 years before I made my first penny off of music. Yeah.
So you said you wanted to be like Dipset, but give me some of the specific necessary failures that you had in that 10-year period.
So, specific necessary failures, I performed at A3C on Fadia Carter's stage. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. And I feel like she only gave me the opportunity because we share a similar background. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but I performed probably in front of 3 people, 2 of them being my homies. So really one person. That was a necessary failure. My first performance was at my old high school for homecoming. I graduated and came back, touched the stage with Kalechi, and that was a complete failure. We're on the verge of getting booed. It's just a lot of situations where you get overlooked, and it's such a humbling experience to be an artist, and I'm sure you know that too.
Yeah. So how do you persevere through that? Like, what are the conversations or what are the next steps that you take when you have moments like that?
It's kind of like I try to maintain like a stoic personality, so that like if somebody tells me something's trash or if somebody tells me something's fire, I try to stay within that same mood. I don't want to like rise with the cheers and fall with the boos. So like I kind of take opinions and critiques the exact same, whether they're great or whether they're terrible. So even keel, I try to be, because it's tough
Yeah.
to be even keel when somebody sits there and says, "Yo, your life work. This is your life work," and they're like, "Yo, that shit's trash." It's way easier said than done, right? But I've been
Yeah.
told that I don't know how to take a compliment.
You don't, but it's probably a
Okay,
good thing.
yeah, and I think that's where it comes from. It's not
Yeah.
arrogance. It's okay, thanks. You know what I'm saying? Or I appreciate that. But like if somebody was like, "Yo, your shit sucks," it's just like, okay, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
just try to
Yeah.
stay even keeled.
That's the way to look at it.
I mean, just like in shorter terms, it's cliche, but like if you're running your own race, and you're
Yeah.
not looking to the left or the right of you, you're not really comparing yourself to others or other people's success. You know what I'm saying? You're just going based off of your most recent drop. And I try to make my most recent drop my most mature, the best drop. I want my next shit to be the best shit, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that how you were able to go from performing for 3 people to doing like millions of streams?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's that perseverance, and it's not really taking critique to heart. There's some people who critique just to critique, right? And when you understand that most people who have an opinion on art, most of those people have never created anything worth consuming and never will, and they never will, then you get to rest easier. Am I right?
Yeah, facts. I like to tell people when it comes to like putting content out, I like to tell people like most people don't have taste. So what are you worried about?
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
they don't even know.
first off, they don't know what goes into the process. And then, you get on Twitter and people are critiquing an album that came out literally 9 minutes ago. And they're giving a full album critique. Jack Harlow's album being like the most recent one I could think of. I think
Yeah.
it's a 45, 50-minute runtime, and people are 9 minutes in saying this whole shit trash. And it's just like, what? When you are a creator and you're true to your craft, you realize that these people's opinions, these opinions are coming from people who are very, very average people, and this is not harsh or anything, very middle of the road, have never created anything worth consuming, will never create anything worth a damn. And that's not me ragging on them, but how do you have an opinion about something when you can't do that shit?
I think that is great advice when it comes to your creation process and also the creation process in general, right? Where do you see that disconnect outside of people being average? And what is it that is like the differentiator between those two things? Is it that you put effort and time into things and people don't see that?
I don't think it's a time thing. Time doesn't necessarily, the more time you spend on something doesn't necessarily mean how good it's going to be. And we just spoke about that. There's records that I've made like Sunshine or even Peace. These are my highest streaming records, top 10 highest streaming records. And those probably took 30 minutes to an hour to make. And then I have records like Easy Faithful, with full blown choirs, and I brought Ray in and real instrumentation and bass, and that shit takes 3 months to make, and it's not a final 10 performing song.
So it's really just a matter of like, I mean, it sounds like it's just a matter of doing what you want to do and being happy with it.
100%. As long as you're content with something, I say put it out. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Just, people aren't perfect. We're not perfect. Your art's not going to be perfect. And I think those imperfections in art are what shape the character of the music or the painting or the video. You know what I'm saying? So when you feel content, I used to be the type of person to tweak every little thing, and then it becomes robotic. So you really got to go in, and if there's breaths in a song, you know what I'm saying, leave them in there. That's how it's intended to be heard. That's how you delivered it. If there's, I'm sure when you edit and things like that, there's certain things you're like, that could have been smoother, but it takes away from the character.
I totally agree with that. Is there a disconnect that could be solved for the average people to get them to understand that you can't judge something that quick?
No, there's no disconnect. People are gonna be people at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
we live in the, what do they call that shit?
The microwave economy.
The microwave era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's literally, we're so quick to, people are dropping classics, and
Yeah.
even movies wise, and we're just so
Yeah.
quick to watch the movie, give our critique, and then on to the next shit.
Right.
We don't. It's not like back in the day when Ye was dropping shit. Him
Right.
and 50 Cent were going head to head, and it was a whole ordeal. It was a whole adventure to when something was gonna drop. You would
Yeah.
drive to Circuit City or Best Buy, you know what I'm saying, with your parents and get the CD, and they would have to check their IDs, or you had to have a parent to buy the parental advisory shit. And then you go home and and before you even pop the disc in, you got a poster in there. You read all the credits. The lyrics are on the packet. And then you live with that album for a year, or
Right.
2 years, or whenever that artist drops his next shit. But nowadays, it's you listen, on the weekend. New Music Fridays, 600,000 records are dropped every week on Spotify. You listen on Friday. You playlist what you like, and you skip what you don't like. You might get 3 or 4, maybe 5 plays from a song if you're lucky. You feel me? Especially if you're
And
independent.
you keep it moving because you've had success in that space, and like you said, so many songs are being dropped. What advice do you have to cut through?
I think consistency is the only thing, man. Nowadays that's the only thing to cut through right now, especially when 600,000 songs are being dropped on Spotify a week. You have to remain in people's faces over and over and over again, especially if you're independent. Most of us, 99.9% of us, don't have machines behind us. If Drake drops, he could drop tomorrow and not announce, and he's gonna get, he's gonna do 6 figures in a week because he has a machine behind him and his catalog is tried and true. But for people like us, you have to drop consistently. And I'm speaking to myself first because I haven't dropped since April of last year. So you need to gear up to start dropping for a whole calendar year. And it's hard to keep that balance because we're not machines. We need to live so that we could create new content. And I'm not just trying to put out whatever, I'm sure I'll get burned out if I put out a song a week or work on a song a week, but I feel like the quality would suffer.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And also, what I like to tell artists is like, yo, if you want to put content out for an extended period of time, then just go away and make all of it for that extended period of time and then schedule it to come out like a rollout.
100%. It's kind of like, it's like having, it's like loading up a clip so that you have enough, you could fire back, if one song hits, you could follow it up with another song, and then you just gradually just increase. If you look at my Spotify graph from 2015, you could see the times where I dropped the album, and it's so apparent. Or when I was dropping singles, because it'll just peak, it'll stay there, and then once you stop dropping, it goes down. The next joint peaks, stays there, and it goes down. So imagine if somebody like me stayed consistent for 5 years and dropped back to back to back to back to back. And of course, hindsight is 2020, but that's not my working style. I'm not a machine. I'm not a robot. I like to live life as well. I'm not defined by being an artist. So I like going to Stone Mountain and working out.
But that's knowing what you want. It's like just knowing what you want and then tackling that. So you spoke on it a little bit by talking about like being consistent and also like how your Spotify graph increased exponentially based on dropping songs or dropping albums. What are like some systems or strategies that you implemented to be successful as an artist, like to get to the place where you are now?
So, thank God music pays the bills. I'm not rich by any means, but if you do something you love and you can pay the bills with it, I feel like that's success. I used to have a lot more loftier goals than that. I wanted to be on top of the world and everybody know me and shit like that. But with that being said, a lot of the things I did to grow was I literally touched the people face to face. Anybody who showed any type of interest in my music or my merch, I would make sure that it was personalized, whether it was a personalized letter or whether I pulled up on them. I really try to connect with the people who show support. I don't want to call them fans, but people who support your shit.
Yeah.
Have a good rapport with them. And a lot of people on my Instagram, whether they're from Quebec or England or, Morocco or wherever they're from, I kind of know something about their lives, like what it is they do, you know, if they're married, you know,
Right.
how many siblings they have, just to maintain that relationship with them. And it's genuine too, because these are the people who essentially are paying my bills.
Right. Facts. No, facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you ended with that point about paying the bills. So this is a two-part question, and you could start with either or. How do you make money doing what you love, and how do other people who are in music make money doing what they love?
So there's a million ways to make money in music or doing what you love. My two biggest incomes from music are streaming and clothing. So I have a clothing brand, Mama, of course, and you know, I had the bake sale, which was under Mama, and it does relatively well. I'm very proud of the brand. I want to scale it higher. And then streaming, you know, if you're streaming in the millions, it's a decent amount of money. I don't think artists get paid. I know Spotify has a really small payout. They keep fractioning the payouts for artists, but you know, there's other avenues like Tidal and YouTube and Amazon Music and just all these avenues where you could really rack up. You know, I think we have over 20 million combined streams across the board. It's a good check to keep you afloat. You could probably pay your rent, you know, if you're streaming in the million.
Yeah, and do you believe that doing this, the consistency is the only factor in getting to that level of streams?
Nah, it's not just consistency, man. I'll be honest with you. It's hard work. It's progressing as an artist. It's having people grow with you as an artist. It's communicating with your fan base, and literally, you know, it's a service job, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Being an artist is a service job. There's a lot of people who hit me up and like, oh man, you got me through this rough point in my life, and you don't even know. You don't even know, but you just have to be of service to your fan base. Like, that's very important. A lot of artists see themselves as above their fan base, but I try to level with my fan base. And even at shows, you know, like the way a stage is set up, stage is higher than it puts the artist on a pedestal, but I really don't see myself as somebody who needs to be on a pedestal. I'm very grateful just for the opportunity to have my music listened to, but you know, in the millions. That might not be a substantial amount to a lot of my peers who are signed and things like that, but as a 16-year-old kid, 20 million streams across the board was unthinkable at the time. So
yeah. Well, I think I would say something too, whether you say it or not, but I think it's for you. It's you make great music, like you make music that people want to stream more than once. And I think that's really important. And I think people don't think about that enough. It's like you should make music that people want to play over and over. And if you're not making that music, then it might be hard for you to get to that level of success.
Absolutely. Bro, I make music that I want to play over and over. I don't want to, you know, I'm not lying to myself. It's just like, would I play this over and over? And if the answer is no, I'm not putting that shit out, bro. I'm being honest with you.
Right.
It's a feeling. It's usually a feeling. It's usually a vibe. Not every studio session is magical, but sometimes you get this feeling, this has to be out. And then sometimes you fall flat on your face. You think that something's going to perform well, and it fucking flops. But guess what, man? You could do it again.
You can't give up, and that goes back to your point about consistency. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. If you're just starting and you want to be an artist, like, how do you what is a strategy that you can give to make money in music?
Oh, so the best strategy, as tedious as it is the grassroots strategy. And that's touching the people and being amongst the people and really building a rapport with your community. It's kind of like that. What's that show? Cheers?
Yeah.
Where you walk in and everybody knows everybody. And then people find out, like, oh, like, let me follow you on Instagram. Like, oh, shit, you do music? And then that's how the community builds from there. I don't usually lead with I do music because everybody in Atlanta does music. The tried and true model for me is touching, like, literally, like, touching the people. Like, hand-to-hand combat, you know, dropping off donut boxes to randoms in Milton, Georgia, or in Decatur, Georgia, or wherever it was. And, you know, you're probably not making, you know, your profit margin is going down, of course, when you're spending all that gas driving from Milton to Decatur and doing all these drop-offs. But that led to something bigger because everybody would see it, you know, people were posting me pull up on them, and people were like, where can I get that hoodie? Where can I get that hat? And, you know, that's when we launched the online store. And that's when everybody came. So it pays off later on. Everybody wants an immediate return on investment, and that's not how this shit works.
Yeah, that's pretty much not how anything works. But when you talk about that, that's a great point, because really what it is lifetime customer value. It's like lifetime value of your customer. So I can come to you and I might break even by coming to you right now, but if I create a true supporter, a true, like 1,000 true supporters, then there's no cap on how much I can make for the rest of my career. And real marketing is a feeling.
It's a feeling. So I've never taken any marketing classes. I've never, we grew up in the 90s where marketing, I feel like, was at its peak. So we kind of know how to sell things. We just have a natural knack, especially if you were born in the 90s. In my opinion, you got to market your shit and you got to, hope that it sticks.
No, I totally agree with you. And I wanted to ask you, like, can you give me like a deep dive on what was your process of setting up the store, like step by step?
I noticed that whenever you give people too many options, they tend to not choose anything.
Mm.
We're one track minded for the most part. And we, as an artist and a creator, you have to choose for people sometimes. So instead of having 8 or 9 colorways, I was like, I'm gonna do 2. Y'all either gonna get this or that, and that's it. And I saw, when I was setting up the store, I saw that people were way more likely to buy something when you choose for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of having 15 different items, make 4 quality items, and people are literally forced to choose between the 4.
That's really what it boils down to. When you get on there and you look at 15 different pieces of merch, it's like, bro, I just want to support. Just give me black and white.
That's it. I want people to wear this shit, definitely. But you ever been on like an Adidas website or Nike or just any website and you want some shoes and then you just see a whole bunch of shit and you see too much shit to where you just exit out? It happens to me more oftentimes than not, bro. I just leave. I just exit out. I'm not buying shit today.
Yeah, I feel you. It's analysis paralysis, bro.
Exactly. So yeah, man, limit options, make it aesthetically pleasing. I'm big on aesthetics and I'm big on minimalism and I'm big on colors. So, contrasting colors and pastels and things like that, make it aesthetically pleasing to the eye and easy to navigate when you're setting up your shop. See, before I had the website, I used to sell things through via DM, and people were so much more receptive to buying from me individually. And they were so trusting that they would send me the Cash App before they even got the item.
Yeah.
It was like on some manual shit where I was literally writing in a notebook, like, this is this person's address, this is their size, and they already paid me. I was doing numbers like that, bro. It's not as efficient as having a website, but I feel like it really did work, bro. You're putting that extra work in and people are like, and they trust you. So once you send them their item and they're happy with it and they've sent you that Cash App before you sent it, they're going to buy some other shit that drops.
Absolutely. Because you built that relationship. And this is something that I've seen in my own business is like, you can get in those DMs, bro. You can get in the DMs and you can reach out to people, especially really the people you should reach out to first are the people who actually follow you because they're there and they want to see what you're doing and they're interested in what you're doing. The one tip that I would give if you do start the DMs first, which there's nothing wrong with that, is just make sure you have a way to get people's email or phone number so that in the future you can follow up with them in an easier way because DM is not going to be easy for you to follow up. Before I wrap, I just want you to tell people where they can connect with you.
Okay, so y'all could connect with me at Fayweather across all platforms. I'm most active on Instagram, and I generally respond to people. They're not weirdos. There be some weirdos, bro. I did one of those Q&As, the anonymous ones, bro. Ridiculous. Bro. Almost deleted.
Like what though? Like what did you get?
It was some crazy shit going on, bro. It was just really horny. It's that whole rule of 1,000 super fans. You get 1,000 super fans to spend $100 with you a year. That's 100 bands. Sounds much easier said than done, but 1,000 is not unattainable.
Right.
So right now I have 10,000 Spotify followers, right? You just got to convert 10% of those, man, to super fans. That's it.
So how many super fans do you have right now? Do you know?
Man, it's not 1,000. If it was 1,000, I'd be balling right now, bro. Like out of control. Super fans, realistically speaking, I would say probably 300 to 500.
That's good.
If I could scale that times, and I'm talking about super fans, somebody who's gonna spend $100 a year with me.
Right.
Most fans are passive listeners. You want to make them active, and the way to do that is to talk to them and ask them how their family's doing, and Act like you give a fuck. Even if you don't give a fuck, act like you give a fuck about that, man. That's it.
That's the marketing strategy, y'all. You wanted the one strategy to be a successful artist, act like you give a fuck.
Like you give a fuck, even if you don't. But I do, bro. I really do, man. And I really do enjoy talking to like different people from different walks of life. So I don't want people to think I'm out here just talking to them and it's like, fuck them. It's honestly, it comes down to customer service, bro, and being grateful. That's all it is, because they're paying my bills. And if you own a restaurant or if you own some type of storefront, you want people to come back, right? So the least you could do is be pleasant and be personable. That's it, man.
Yeah. And be authentic in it. But
yeah, shake hands and kiss babies. Exactly. Be political at the very least.
So once again, y'all, this is the Creative Breakthrough Podcast. If you want to stay in tune, you can follow me. And the mission is just to eliminate the starving artists. Peace and love. Appreciate you, my dog. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.